What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with 150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/AllNBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler. Legs, my smile's a little bit bigger today. You know, it's a rainy day out here. It's cloudy, but yet I still feel the sun shining.
I'm sure, man. I can't imagine. The watch party that I checked out when Gordon had the dunk tip in the Clippers series, your reaction. Yeah. I can't imagine your reaction last night when the Nuggets come all back and Aaron Gordon hits that shot.
One of the most incredible finishes. Just, stealing a win like that. It was just unbelievable. So yes, you can't imagine it. It was every bit what you thought, as surprising and just in that one moment, as surprising of a win as you will get. We're of course going to start with that game. We will get to Knicks Celtics because that game was just as good. Went to overtime and it was phenomenal as well. Had an upset. So last night, an all-timer in the association. We'll also at the very end preview tonight's games, including the debut of the Warriors-Timberwolves series. So a lot to get to in today's show. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. So, Legs, Nuggets get the win in Oklahoma City, 121-119. Jokic went for 42 points, 22 rebounds, 6 assists, was just physically dominant. But it was Aaron Gordon coming up clutch with a last-second three-pointer, or I shouldn't say last second, with 2 seconds left on the clock, he hits a three-pointer. The first lead, really, in the entire competitive portion of the game for the Nuggets, and that crowd was stunned. What stood out to you about the game?
Well, I think, look, there's so much. I took more notes on this game as I watched it the second time this morning than I have in any game all season for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of stuff that took place toward the end of this game. And I'm trying to figure out the best place to jump in. And it's hard because I don't want to leave too much out, but we don't have but so much time to devote to this. So I want to start, I think, with right after Hartenstein hits a little floater, one of those shots where I talk about he releases the doves. He released the doves into the air. The ball ends up at the bottom of the net. They go up 9. 3 minutes to go. Now, so I really want to start there. There were very, very consequential plays in the first 9 minutes of the fourth quarter too. But let's just start there and talk about a couple of the things that I don't think people are going to be talking about today that stood out to me in my notes. Because some of this stuff's obvious. Big plays, big shots, stuff like that. But the first one starts right there. And it's actually 115-108. 2:25 left. So after they got 9, I think they had 2 free throws. They cut it to 7. There's a shot by the Thunder. They make it. They go up 9. Or if they get this offensive rebound, which Alex Caruso was in perfect position to grab, and Russell Westbrook battles as well as you'll ever see a guard battle a guy that doesn't have position on the play to come up with a loose ball rebound and get fouled on the play. You remember this play? He went to the line. He made 1 out of 2, and it made it 115-109. So I want to start right there because Russell Westbrook had so much to do with them winning this game, and some of it is quantified statistically. Most of it isn't. That was the first thing that stood out to me was that. Little things like that, Adam, don't go your way. That ball goes in on the shot. There's a good chance the Nuggets lose the game. If they don't get that defensive rebound and Caruso comes up with that ball and OKC gets to run another, 14 seconds and maybe they score at the end of that possession, it's probably game over. But that's not what happened. Russell Westbrook came from nowhere and just used his raw athleticism, determination, and competitiveness to take the ball away from a guy who is equally competitive, athletic, and tough in Alex Caruso. Do you remember that play, first of all? Because
of course.
I want to start there as we break down the end of this game and how it went.
Of course, and it plays into what I think is the broad theme of this one because those plays went Oklahoma City's way in different parts. Denver, it was rebounding. They had 20 more rebounds than Oklahoma City. And obviously the points in the paint, they just dominated with what they were able to do. And Oklahoma City forced 18 turnovers, I believe, in this game. 18 turnovers. So both teams were making those types of plays just in different areas of the court. But to your point, in the clutch, it was Denver over and over again coming up with those balls. And that one from Russ was huge.
That was the first of the key hustle plays that were made in this game to help them win it. So now let's fast forward a little bit. So now Russell Westbrook makes 1 out of 2. It's 115-109. They get a stop. They come back down the floor. They get a switch. Alex Caruso's on Jokic at the top of the key, basically almost a 3-point line. And OKC decides we're staying home. We're not going to let Jokic kick out for a three. We're going to let him play one-on-one. Do you remember this? He backs Caruso down with about 5 dribbles and turns and shoots a little push shot from like 8 feet. So, listen, if you're Dagnall, I get it. When you have a lead, like the best way to protect it is to give up twos, not give up threes. But Denver is such a low-volume three-point shooting team, and some of the guys they have on the floor are not super consistent from there. You just wonder, like, should they have gotten the ball to him? But they didn't. He backs him in, scores. There is 1:45 left now. It's a 4-point game. So talk about that first of all. Oklahoma City's decision on that possession, up 6, to play him straight up inside of a minute and a half, around a minute and a half.
Well, up until this point, and it maybe was even a minute before what you're talking about, but up until this point, Oklahoma City was scoring consistently enough that I think the math checks out. We're not going to give up threes because the team gets lucky and just hits a couple threes. That shortens, the lead, obviously. So it's like, all right, Yoke's probably going to score here. We'll see what happens, and then we'll score just enough to get it. So I think they were counting on their offense not going ice cold in the clutch. And so I don't mind it. To me personally, I understand it. You don't want to give up the three.
And then I think outside of the game winner, obviously being the biggest play of the game, Gordon making that shot, I think the next 2 biggest plays of the game happen consecutively. It starts with, so you're down 4, and Aaron Gordon makes maybe the best 50-50 play on a ball I've seen all year. It's a scrum off the glass. They're trying to get a stop. The ball hits the floor. He doesn't really have perfect position to get it. But even when I was watching it live and it's happening so quickly, I knew Aaron Gordon was coming out of that pack with the basketball. And he does. And he fights. And it took a couple of seconds, and they're wrestling and arm fighting. And finally the ball squirts loose. He dives on it, and he gets the timeout in the lane. There was a minute 20 left when he makes that play. Again, if OKC scores on that possession, or if they don't get that loose ball, and OKC comes up, then they get another possession and score, I think they lose the game. So do you remember that? Obviously, you remember that play. Give me your thoughts on that as that was transpiring with Aaron Gordon making that play.
To me, I've just watched the Nuggets in this era for too long. They have enough guys that make those types of winning plays. And so to me, it was a phenomenal play. You're right. The thing I thought, though, when that play happened, because he dives on the floor, you obviously do what you can do to retain possession. And they call timeout. And I look up, and I think the Nuggets only had 1 timeout after that.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, like, all right, good. They got the ball. They needed it. But now it gets even tougher.
Here's the thing. It's tough in that situation. And as a player, you're fighting for the ball. You end up with the ball. And at some point, he gets free of the pack. He's laying on the ball with both hands. It's clearly his ball. And now you got 2 choices. Get tied up, because it's going to be really tough to dish it off to someone from that position, especially right under your basket. That could be disaster. So do you risk the jump ball thinking you could win it, or call the timeout? And they took the timeout. So I agree with you. It's tough, man, because those things are gold in a game like this. But I thought it was the right play, because you don't know what's going to happen on the jump ball. And you're at your own end of the court, man. You don't get that. OKC scores or something. So they take the timeout. And then the next shot outside of the game winner was the biggest shot. Jokic's 1-on-1 3 that he hit over Hartenstein with 1:06 left to cut it to 1. That's such a nervy shot, man. And he had a great year shooting the 3, but this was a little different. A lot of the ones he takes he's got more time, more space. This was, man, jab, jab. Hartenstein didn't really go for it. He stayed right there in his chest, and he just rose up and shot this high arcing 3. It's nothing but net, and it cuts it to 1. Just give me your thought process as you're sitting there watching that.
So first of all, I just have watched him long enough. I can always tell when Yoke's going to shoot it. You know players' habits sometimes when you can tell what they're trying to do. And I just knew Yoke was going to take a 3, hell or high water on that play. And if you notice, Legs, he kind of gives a shot fake. Then he jabs to his left a little bit. Hartenstein's not biting on it, this or that. And so then he jabs right. It was almost like he was trying to get him just to step back just enough to get enough clearance, because Hartenstein did a great defense. He was putting his hand basically up to where he could have contested the shot or blocked it. and Yoke jabs to the right, and he opens up just enough, and Yoke sees it, and then he gets enough space to go into a shot. So incredibly difficult shot. It's not easy to pump fake like 7 times and then make a three. And he does that, gets him right off balance and drains it.
Again, you missed the shot. You're down 4. OKC's got the ball. They're going to take it down to probably around 45 seconds left in the game. And if they score at the end of that, again, I think OKC wins the game. So like any one of these things go differently. I think Denver has a hard time pulling it out. The next play I want to talk about is 50 seconds to go, the next possession. They run a double team at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the middle of the floor to get the ball out of his hands. He swings it to the left wing. Jalen Williams catches the ball, tacks the closeout, goes at the rim, and it looks like he's got an opportunity to get to the front of the rim. And Russell Westbrook comes flying in from the opposite side of the floor, jumps. He's so high, man. Like his head is damn near at the rim. He's got both hands in the air, contesting Jalen Williams like at the last second. Comes out of nowhere. It completely it's like an eclipse. Jalen Williams can't even see the rim anymore. Misses the shot. Like a play that will not show up anywhere when you look at the transcript of the game, the box score, or anything else. And it's a winning play. And again, it's a lot of the things that Westbrook has brought to this team. So he forces the miss. And then, so talk about that first of all. You remember that play when Jalen Williams misses that layup and Russell Westbrook comes out of nowhere to force that miss.
This is one of the reasons Russ has closed games in this playoffs and even in the regular season is he is a guy that can bring the chaos and bring those types of plays. So oftentimes in those moments, it's not about the perfect execution. You're going to try to make things tough, and then you make these crazy plays. And I've seen him do it a ton of times this year. He's really, really good at just sprinting all the way across the floor. By the way, Alex Caruso also elite at this. They're almost in weird ways mirrors of each other in terms of how much they just like take gambles, but they do them so full force that it works out.
Very, very, very similar. Honestly, their impact, the way they do it, the streaky 3-point shooting that kicks in at exactly when you need it, even if they haven't made any. All right, that leads me to the next thing. So now here you are, down 1, have the ball. You go down the other end. Westbrook misses that corner 3 wide open. OKC flooded the paint. Kicks out to Westbrook, of all people. He takes it, and he's got the nerve to take it. Didn't have it. Gordon gets the offensive rebound, gets blocked. It's a scramble. Boom, OKC's got the ball. They foul. 13.9 seconds left. Shai goes to the line, makes both. OKC's up 3. Now is when the chaos begins, and I think Oklahoma City completely mismanaged the end of this game. So get your thoughts here as we set up the last 13.9 seconds.
Well, to me, the fact that Denver was able to get so many of these rebounds specifically, because some of this is 50-50 balls, right? How does the ball bounce or whatever? But Denver dominated the glass, and dominating it in the clutch where you're not as worried about transition, right? It just shows that there is some amount of luck that's involved in basketball and sports in general. And so you can argue ball bounces, this or that. But Denver can get rebounds on this team. And that's one of the things. I mean, Christian Brown rebounded incredibly well. Russ had those in the clutch. Jokic, 22. Aaron Gordon dominated the boards. Denver is able to do that. And so to me, that's what that play was about. And Denver didn't convert. And, it looked like OKC was about to win.
Here we go. 13.9. Shai makes 2. They're up 3. Denver calls timeout, advances the ball. They get it into Jokic, who's running toward half court. He's running away from the rim. Catches the ball, and within a half a second, Alex Caruso fouls him.
Yeah.
Okay? He's still facing half court. He's 40 feet from the basket.
Yeah.
You don't eat any time up. It's an absolute mistake under those conditions to take a foul that quickly when a guy is facing half court. Now, Jokic is so smart. Maybe Caruso was afraid, or they were afraid that, hey man, Jokic could turn, wheel, and he's been trying his whole career to get those 3 free throws in that situation. He's literally been doing it. He'll do it in the backcourt. Like he's always begging for it, and he never gets it. Because the officials know what he's doing, and they always say, "Oh no, it was just a nanosecond before you started to gather," and you always get 2 free throws out of it. So maybe that's what it was. But there are some situations, Adam, like this. It's so obvious he's nowhere near ready to be able to shoot the ball. He's got to turn and dribble it some. And even hell, even if you stayed in front of him and let Jokic take a 35-footer over you, I think you'd live with that. There's too much time to start fouling that quickly when the ball's that far from the basket. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all. So let me give you your thoughts on that first one. So OKC's up 3, and they foul Jokic like immediately near half court. What did you think when they did that?
To me, that one makes sense. And I understand what you're saying. Could you waste a little more clock? Do you live with a Jokic 3? The Nuggets are not a great free throw shooting team. And in this playoffs, it's actually been pretty bad. Jokic in particular. And Oklahoma City's a great free throw shooting team. So I at least understand that one. Your point is good, though, about how it didn't waste any time. So it extended the game. But to me, I wasn't bothered yet.
I'm sorry. Even at the time, I was saying it. Even at this isn't like hindsight 2020 for me. I was saying it at the TV. My 3-year-old was kind of had woken up, so he was like looking at me because he saw I was upset because I was just like, I don't like dumb basketball. I thought that was foolish. I thought it was foolish. I thought it gave too many more possessions to come by fouling that soon. There's too much time left. You're not eating because part of the process is you want to foul. You're also trying to kill clock. There's 2 things you're trying to accomplish, and they didn't do that right there. They didn't kill any clock. Denver immediately cuts it to 1. So now, the next one, OKC calls timeout. It's a 1-point game. They take the ball out half court. They draw up an out-of-bounds play, and I don't think it was intentional on the part of the Nuggets. It couldn't have worked out better. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander catches the ball on a curl near half court. The whole lane is emptied out because everybody's flying to the 3-point line. And he just turns a corner, goes in, and dunks it.
Yeah.
I think there was 10.7. So it took 2.2 seconds.
And by the way, Jokic checked out because he had 5 fouls, and they were going to have to foul right away. So they take Jokic out. He's not in the game.
Jokic is out. Christian Brown wasn't even – he had a bad angle when Shai caught it, so he was able to turn so quickly, and nobody could get a hand on him. But here's my point. He goes and takes the quick dunk. You burned like less than 2 seconds. And you're up 3. If you look at it again, that entire side of the court in front of the Nuggets bench, there was nobody over there. Yeah. He could have literally dribbled through the lane, taken it back up toward half court, maybe gotten fouled, or at least burned at least 2 more seconds, or maybe he makes a pass because Jamal Murray would have been the closest guy to run to him. And then maybe Shai passes it to whoever Jamal Murray was guarding, but Shai probably keeps it because he's 90% foul shooter. So my point is, okay, people are going to say, no, you take the shirt too because you might miss a free throw. I don't know, man. If you're a 90% foul shooter, I tell you what, I can list a number of players over the years that are not taking that layup. They're not taking the dunk because they're so sure they're going to make the free throws and they want to eat 2 or 3 more seconds. And he didn't do it. So he takes the dunk, 3-point game, but still a ton of time left. That now it's when it gets really weird for me. They foul Aaron Gordon. No timeouts left for Denver. They can't get Jokic back in the game. They had taken him out of the game. There's no timeouts left. They inbound the ball, and Aaron Gordon is 85 feet from the other end of the court, down 3, and they foul him immediately. Now, as it turns out, Jokic getting back in the game didn't matter, really, the way things played out. It really didn't matter that he made it back in the game. My point is, why are you fouling 85 feet from the basket when they're going to have to burn 5 or 6 seconds to get it up the floor into the scoring area? So I don't know what they were doing. Again, it was Caruso. Caruso runs up, commits the foul.
High five, Shai. High fives as if like, hey, we did it. Good job.
And then let me ask you something. Were you thinking, all right, at that point when you're watching the game, man, what the hell are they doing? Like, thank you. Thank you. Like, that helps us. That was only 10.7. So I think they burned what? 0.2? 0.4 seconds.
It was nothing. Yeah, it was nothing.
0.4 seconds is all they took off the clock, and Gordon's going right back to the line, down 3. Plenty of time, man. This thing's getting extended and extended, and all we're waiting on is who's going to miss free throws.
Yep.
That's what we're waiting on here.
And this is the thing about fouling up three is the team that's down 3 points has all the pressure. You have to get a stop, but the pressure's on them. When you make it a free throw contest, you're making it equal pressure. Like I have to make them, now you have to make them. And you're kind of turning it into that. And as we saw, the pressure ended up getting to one Chet Holmgren eventually.
No doubt. So Gordon makes the free throws. It's a 1-point game again. Jokic subs back in the game. And then OKC takes another timeout to advance it. This time they can't get it into Shea. They can't get it into Jalen Williams. They get it in Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren's a good shooter. I don't even know. Do you know? I didn't even look at what's Chet Holmgren's season free throw percentage.
I believe he is good, but I'll look it up while you're talking here.
I'm going to guess 75 to 80 would be my guess because he's a good player. He's got a good stroke.
75.4% this year, yeah.
All right, 75%. Not bad then. He ends up with it. Certainly not your number one option, but he gets it. And here we go. He misses the free throws. So as you're watching Chet Holmgren, he misses the first one. I know you're breathing a sigh of relief because you still have 10 seconds left. Misses the second one, no timeouts. They rebound the ball and go watch it again. How many times did you watch I'm curious how many times you watched that sequence from the missed free throw the other way?
5, 6, 7, I don't know. A handful of
Probably
times.
watched it. I probably watched it 8 to 10 times.
Yeah.
Probably half of them last night, half of them today. And here's what stood out to me. What the hell was Alex Caruso and Lou Dort doing hanging around the backcourt? Look at it. Alex Caruso is sort of entangled with Aaron Gordon on the rebound. They're literally practically hugging each other, and the ball comes off and Christian Brown grabs it, advances the ball to Westbrook. Watch Lou Dort and Alex Caruso jogging back defensively and hanging out really in the backcourt. And there was another player too, but the third guy, I think it might have been Jalen Williams, he's sort of backpedaling at half court. And then, of course, Holmgren's all the way down. But I have no idea. Up 1. What in the world you're doing hanging out in the backcourt when there's plenty of time for Denver to get the ball up the floor? It's not like they're going to have to take a 70-footer and you're going to try to just get in the area to bother them. They have time to get all the way to the rim. Get your butt back. Both of those guys are in jog mode. It's almost as if they didn't understand the time and score of the game. And of course, Westbrook pushes, makes the kick out. Aaron Gordon, uncontested 3 to win the game and give that guy all the credit in the world because he's got absolute nerves of steel. He held his follow through so long and so strong. Like, yeah, that's what shooters do in that situation. Right? You're begging, like, please, like, make sure I got enough on this. He stayed with the shot all the way through, gets it to go, and it's one of the best gut check wins and overcoming adversity that you will see a team ever have. There's just like determination to chip away and stay with it. There's still time. We'll make the plays, make every shot you have to, including the game winner, man. I was blown away that they walked out of there with a win.
And so were they, and so were all of the people there at the arena, because that was one of those ones where you just sit and think, what happened? We had this game. And that's so tough in a playoff series, especially in game 1, because it sets the tone. And now you have a team in Oklahoma City who won 68 games this year in the regular season, dominated the first round 4-0, and most of those blowouts. And now all of a sudden they lose game 1 on their home floor in a game they felt like they should have won. So to me, this is a complete momentum shifter. And that's just based on the game that we just talked about. Because, me watching this from the Denver angle, I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, this is a good outcome for Denver. Lose game 1, but they learned some stuff. They pushed them, like, okay, sets the stage for game 2. But then to come out with a win, it completely flips the script. And now we have to talk about this matchup and the strengths and weaknesses of it. And legs, you watch that game, the Nuggets are so much bigger than the Thunder. The Thunder are so much faster, and they use that to their advantage, and they play defense at an incredible rate, and they fly around, they get steals. But Denver physically just completely dominated the boards and the paint in a way that's not going away. I don't know. That's going to be now the texture of this series is how do they deal with Jokic's strength first and foremost, and then 2, Aaron Gordon, and then 3, Christian Brown, who I think understood in this series, I'm not going to beat these guys off the dribble. They're too good of defenders. I'm not going to get a bunch of open threes, but they can't box me out. And so Denver just knew their game plan was to bruise them inside. And that's something that I'm curious how you think Oklahoma City is going to deal with that.
I mean, they were plus 20 on the glass.
20.
Jokic is throwing guys around, and he was in foul trouble and still able to pull that off because he had a couple of cheap ones and a couple of ones that weren't too smart. He hurt himself a little bit, but he also was just throwing his weight around. I mean, Chet Holmgren, it's as long as he is, and he's got great timing. And look, there were plays that Jokic had at the rim in the second quarter that he looked woefully unathletic.
Yeah.
Woefully unathletic. Like he'd go to jump at the last, and he was just getting smothered up. And Holmgren had a couple of plays at the rim, and he stood there and kind of stared at him. But then when the game got into the point where you had to have it in the second half, and Jokic was just operating much more patiently, and he was just doing exactly what he wanted to do, Holmgren was being thrown around. I mean, it's really the complete mismatch in terms of physical strength. And then the footwork Jokic has in the touch, he was getting to every spot he wanted to. And again, it's this pick your poison mentality with Jokic. And I thought Oklahoma City made up their mind in the second half of this game. Well, let's see if this guy can score 40. Well, yeah, he can actually. And he can go get 22 boards too, if you're going to play him that way. So now I think you're going to have to see more of a mixed bag in game 2 of when you selectively force kickouts and who you're leaving. I don't know that you're going to be leaving Aaron Gordon a ton. I don't know if Michael Porter Jr. Listen, that's a whole nother topic here about him. I don't know how much he's even going to play in the next game.
He's got one arm.
Because they're way better without him right now. Like he's soft and he's hurt and he's not giving you anything offensively. They went with different guys with a toughness and an edge, even if they gave up a little bit of length. And now you've got to pick, if you're Oklahoma City, how do you get the ball out of his hands and where are you forcing the ball to end up? Because I thought that Jokic totally dictated terms to them pretty much the last 18 minutes of the game. And if you do that, you're going to see the result. I mean, that's what's going to happen to you. So let's see now what they do, because they cannot play this guy straight up with switches. They can't play him straight up with their bigs. You're going to have to send someone, man, because he will just own the game. And that's what he did in the last, certainly last quarter, if not the last 18 minutes.
Yeah. And by the way, Jokic, it's not just about having a physical advantage. How many bigs with this big of a physical mismatch being, just that much, he's 100 pounds heavier than Chet, could also have the stamina to knock down the 3 you're talking about with a minute to go in the game. Jokic, it's one of his most underappreciated or recognized traits is that for as flabby as he looks and as big as he is, he's the best conditioned athlete on the floor every single night. And it's crazy how much is commanded of him. 42 minutes coming off of a 7-game series, 42 minutes on the road, and he just is able to keep going and keep going. 18 points in the fourth quarter at the end of that. And that's just such a rare combination of strength and endurance and mental toughness. And Legs, here's where I want to really take you on this. The Nuggets fired their GM and their coach with 3 games to go. And I told you all year, the Nuggets, just something's off about them. The vibe's off. But when they made that switch, it really was like a reset button for this team. And we can't judge them just based on their strengths and weaknesses and their regular season record and all this stuff. They are now on a run since that firing where they just are getting better every game. And they're getting better, not at like, oh, we're shooting better, we're doing this better. They're getting better at belief, at execution, at toughness, at these intangible things. And then you can rely on Jokic to kind of do the rest of the work. And that's why last night, I'm not all the way there. I'm halfway back to believing the Nuggets again because of those things. And because they just how many games in the playoffs so far have they won that you look and are like, how did they win that? They're just good at that. They're good at winning games you didn't expect.
Well, I mean, look, this is what experience will do for you. Experience in winning at the highest level will do for you, like their core group has done. You believe still, in these moments. And look, I'm sure going into the series, they felt like, hey, man, we could definitely battle this team. But having just played 7, 1 day off, come back and play a team that won 68 games. It's 35-6 at home in the regular season. That's got fresh legs. That's the best defensive team in the league by any metric you want to put out there. I'm not sure that Denver really believed they could be leaving that arena last night up 1-0. Yeah. But you know what they believe now? Now they believe they can win the series. Now
Yep.
they believe they can win the series because look, they're going to also make some adjustments. There's some things that they can do better defensively against OKC, but their thing now is all the belief they have is no deficit is going to be insurmountable if we just came back from that in that building against that team. There's nothing we're going to face that's going to be something where we don't believe that we're going to be able to chip away at it and eventually get it to a one possession game. And if we can get it to a one possession game, we've got all the experience in these situations and we've got the best player on the court.
And
And
oh,
I
by the
think
way,
that's
well, real
go ahead,
quick,
go ahead.
Legs. What about the opposite? Because J-Dub, because you're talking about the Nuggets now, belief, but what about the Thunder and the look in the mirror they have to have? J-Dub last night, 5 of 20 from the field, 16 points, underwhelming performance in a big game. Chet Holmgren, 5 of 11, 12.6 rebounds, 5 fouls. He only plays 28 minutes because of foul trouble. Think about what happened to Chet last night. He gets dunked on by Aaron Gordon. He gets 5 fouls, can only play 28 minutes, misses a layup horribly, misses a corner 3, and then misses 2 free throws with the game on the line. J-Dub and Chet now go from 68 wins, momentum, best team in the West, to all of a sudden, you better perform in game 2 because all eyeballs are going to be on you and how nervous you looked in that moment. By the way, I'm curious, a shot doctor. Chet gets to the line for those free throws, and he gets into his motion, and he holds it for about 5 seconds. Like, definitely, yeah, I saw as that was happening, it's like, he's going to miss this. You could just see it.
It's listen, man, you're talking to somebody. I've done a lot of teaching every level player all the way up through the NBA and helping with shooting, free throws and other stuff. It's the very first thing I'm going to stop if I'm working with a player because you're interrupting a natural movement. You're interrupting it. You're turning a shot that should be one continuous fluid motion into something that has multiple parts to it. And just like anything, if there are multiple parts, there are more opportunities to break down. It's that simple. So that for me, I'm a believer. When you start your dribble routine, whatever that is, everybody's different. I was 3. I spun the ball in my hand. I took 3 dribbles. When that third dribble came off the floor into my hand off the ground, the ball immediately started up and it stayed in one motion all the way through. So that ball for me never stopped moving off the floor straight up into it because it's much easier to teach your body one repetitive motion like that feels like a continuous sequence than it is breaking it down into multiple stages. And that's exactly what he's done. And you know what it gives you the opportunity to do, Adam, in that situation? Think.
Yeah, totally.
That's the last thing you want to
And
do
overthink, yeah.
with 2 critical free throws in a playoff game is think about anything, man. It's muscle memory that you trained your body for that to me should be one continuous motion. So I like your point on the free throws. Look, when he went to the line, I wasn't sure he was going to make 2 because they had just made 2, right? A couple of times. I'm like, they're going to miss 1 at some point. Maybe this is it. I figured 1 out of 2, 1 out of 2. And now, you got to have to get a 3 to win it or a 2 to tie it. Missing them both. Like you said, he had the dunk that he missed that, he basically was an offensive goal. He offensive goaltended his own shot.
Yeah.
All the stuff that went on with Jokic getting tossed around all over the place. Yeah, he's probably not feeling great about himself. Jalen Williams is the guy that you and I have talked about so much since we first started doing this show. And is he a legit co-star? Is he legit number 2? And we were skeptical at first, and he had a couple of questionable games in the playoffs last year, including the series they got eliminated. He only averaged, maybe 15, 16 points a game in that series. And you're like, man, you got to be better or at least as good as you were in the regular season. You can't be worse if you're a star. But this year, over the course of the season, I think you and I both kind of got to the point like, you know what, man? I'm buying Jalen Williams. I'm buying into it.
Yeah.
5 for 20 in game 1 of this series is, look, he might, I don't think he's going to stay there. He'll bounce back. But to your point, man, you need more than that. Shea is weird. He had 33, but I just didn't feel it was massively impactful. I don't know what Jokic's 42 might have been 80. That's what it felt like. Like Shea's 33 felt like 22. And so Jalen Williams needs to be loud. He wasn't loud. He was quiet as a church mouse. You didn't notice him. And they had some other guys like Lou Dort made some some big threes. Caruso was great. I thought Hartenstein played pretty well. But where was Isaiah Joe? Where was Aaron Wiggins? These were huge components for them in the regular season. Disappeared. Jalen Williams, non-factor. So you've got a lot of guys that perform below their regular season standard that now have to bounce back and against a team that is a champion that's feeling really good right now that they can win this series.
The last thing I want to say on Chet, and we got to keep it moving there. I could do this show for an entire hour on this series, but I know people want to get to the Knicks. The last thing I'll say is when a guy hits shots over you, it's demoralizing. You know, there's different things a guy can do. When you get physically dominated the way Chet did, on top of all the other things that happen, we're going to see his mental toughness here, because that's not a thing where there's one thing just to give up points, but there's another thing to be physically bullied. That's almost a more demoralizing. And I'm so curious to see what Chet is made of in game 2, because to me, that's going to be as hard a game to bounce back from, given all the things that happen. But now the series is on, Legs. Now the series is on. We are 1-0 Denver. Denver's a great story. Oh, last thing, and let me ask you about this, and then we got to move. Denver has scored 120 against Oklahoma City for the third time this year, twice in the regular season, now once in the playoffs. It's the number one defense by a mile, one of the best defenses we've ever seen. But when a team is able to do that to you 3 times in one season and you're a great defense, that's another thing that makes you doubt, like, okay, is our defense good against everyone else but this team?
And the reason is because they've got incredible team speed. They've got some length up front. They're very well coached defensively, so they connect to each other. They don't blow assignments. They don't have the physical strength or stamina to deal with Jokic. That's like the big problem here. And that's what this whole film session all day long and their walkthrough today and tomorrow are going to be dealing with. What are we going to do differently on this guy? Not that everybody has to try to figure it out. There's a reason he's a 3-time MVP. But like I agree with you. The reason that those numbers have popped off like that against this team is because they don't have an answer for that. And guess what? There's only one Jokic in the entire league. There's a couple other power players that play center that are big, that can overwhelm you. There's only one Jokic who can beat you with his hands, his eyes, his vision. He can beat you that way too. But if you want to just go ahead and make it like a wrestling match, good luck, because you don't have what it's going to take to keep him from getting to his spots. And that is why they have put up those kind of numbers. It's specifically related to him and everybody playing off of him, man. So listen, it's like you said, it's game on, series on. I will be surprised they don't leave there 1-1. You go in there and win 2 against this team, and that would surprise me. So,
it would surprise me too.
You have home court now. You don't have to win another road game. That's the good news for Denver, man. Just hold home court the rest of the way, and you will win this series.
And you've planted a little doubt in their mind. All right, let's take a break because we got to talk about this other series. We're only going to have about 10 minutes to get to it, but we're going to talk about Knicks Celtics because it was also an incredible game, and I can't wait to get Legs' thoughts. Let us know down in the comments, though, what you think about this Nuggets Thunder series and where it's headed. We always check them out. First, Vivid Seats. The NBA playoffs are underway, so there's no better time to be in the arena experiencing that playoff intensity in person. If you're trying to catch your team live this postseason, let us tell you about our friends at Vivid Seats. Vivid Seats is the best place to get your tickets for any live event. They have the best selection of games and seats, and every purchase is backed by their 100% buyer guarantee. Plus, Vivid Seats is the only ticket marketplace that rewards you for every purchase. So download the Vivid Seats app and start earning rewards towards free tickets. New Vivid Seats users who use the promo code ALLNBA30 will receive $30 off their first purchase of $300 or more. Once again, click the link in the description of the show or go to vividseats.com or download the Vivid Seats app and use the promo code ALLNBA30 for $30 off your first purchase of $300 or more. When it comes to playoff basketball, being there is all that matters, so experience it with Vivid Seats. Also, I want to tell you guys about FanDuel. Probably could have made a pretty penny betting on the Nuggets there to start the fourth quarter. I'm guessing the odds were incredible. FanDuel is the best place to find all of your favorite player props, and now you can make this smart play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's hitting that over consistently? Or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double? Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's been heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. Get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit fanduel.com/allNBA to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. All right, back here, segment 2. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that like button so you never miss me and Legs breaking down the games. Let's go to the Knicks beating the Celtics 108-105. Al Horford hit a 3 at the end of the third quarter to go up 9, and it felt huge because anytime a team gets a 3-pointer right at the end of a quarter, it just feels like momentum. But that was not the case at all. This Knicks team, like the Nuggets before them, bent the whole game but never broke, and then were able to storm back late to get the win. So how did this one happen?
Listen, man, what the Boston Celtics did last night was an insult to basketball, in my opinion, man. That's an abomination offensively to play the way they played. And look, if people are going to sit there, well, that's how they play all the time, man. Live by the 3, die by the 3. What are you talking about? Watch the game. I don't care how many they listed. First of all, I know this for a fact because I've dived into this. The way the league or statisticians or people at the game that are doing the stats label contested, uncontested shots, I've got a massive disagreement about. I've already looked at it in Second Spectrum because you pull up information and like you're like, wait a second, that's not an uncontested shot, whatever. So there's a big number of uncontested shots, and that's what the Celtics contingent and people that love the Celtics or that defend the Celtics are going to say today. Well, they're all uncontested threes. My ass. I watched. I wrote them all down. They were not. Here's the thing, too. There's a difference between what you might even think is an uncontested shot and a rushed shot. You can still have an uncontested shot that's rushed. What I didn't understand was why were the Celtics playing as if for literally an entire 18-minute stretch, they played offense like there was 3 seconds left in the game. Every guy that caught the ball. That's what I was trying to figure out. What the hell is the hurry? And guess what? It wasn't just Tatum, although, man, was he bad last night. Like, you can't play that way offensively while this lead's slipping away without figuring out a way to get to a mid-range jumper, something at the rim or free throws. It's embarrassing. But it's not just him. I actually have a bigger problem, Adam, with Al Horford and Drew Holiday. In particular, those two guys. Who the hell do they think they're Klay Thompson? Shooting balls? The ball's coming to him in a corner off with 19 seconds on the shot clock and a guy draped all over them, and they're letting it fly with no offensive rebounding positioning at all? Are you kidding me? You tailor-made the environment for the Knicks to do what they did to you. This is on the Celtics. Give the Knicks credit, man, just like the Nuggets. You didn't quit. You didn't think the game was over. You kept fighting. And the reason they kept fighting was because they saw the way off the Boston was playing offensively. Man, we got a chance. I guarantee you every time out. Listen, man, they're going to keep shooting threes. We're going to be in the game. Just keep being in the area to get a hand up, and we're going to be able to get back in this game. I guarantee that's what they told them. Because there's nothing. They made it so simple to guard them. So simple. And there's no weak side cutting. There's no flashing. There's no post game at all. It's one possession after another. An off the dribble 3 by Tatum or Brown or White, or a catch and shoot 3 rushed by Holiday or Horford. That's what they're or Hauser, who took one also. That was Pritchard took a couple that I couldn't believe. Like, what are these guys thinking? Yeah. Like, you're letting the game slip away. Take your time. Make them guard you for 3 or 4 passes. They didn't do it, man. And I thought it was an abomination offensively to play that way. 19 out of 20 shots, threes in the third quarter. 60 threes, 45 missed 3-point shots. Are you kidding me? So, no, man, I was disgusted by the display. I don't care who wins the game. I was just disgusted because it's horrible basketball. There's no other way to put it. And they just, look, I don't know. They're still probably going to win the series, I think. But they just made it a lot more doubt creep into it by playing that way and giving up a big lead, a 20-point lead in 18 minutes at home.
On the other side, you just had an incredible will, though, from this Knicks team, and including, and especially to me, Jalen Brunson, who has been one of the best stories of this playoff so far. But there is something with this Knicks team. Everything I just said about Denver, I think, is true with the Knicks, which is it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to follow a script. It doesn't have to be anything. Just find some way to get it done. Their wings were incredible defensively. I think to your point, Boston let them off the hook a little bit. Didn't really either weren't challenging them enough or were afraid of them a little bit to drive on them. I'll let you say which one you think. But then just finding ways to win, ugly baskets, ugly opportunities, and just converting on them. That's the story of the Knicks.
Look, here's the problem. Listen, Art, so I don't know. You want to take this from a Knicks perspective? I'm going to give the Knicks a ton of love here in a second. I don't know if you want me to do it now or you want to wait a second we finish up on the Celtics.
I can wait if you want to keep going on the Celtics.
Go look, watch the film. I watched every single three they took from the time they were up 20 points.
Yeah.
That's where I started my rewatch because there's no other reason to watch anything before that. I wanted to watch that part of the game. The number of times that Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or Derek White had a switch and an advantage on a slower player with the floor spread and did not try to take advantage of turning the corner. I'm not saying, hey, you get Mitchell Robinson to switch onto you. Okay, maybe you don't beat him all the way to the rim. Maybe he slides with you and you're worried. That's great. Players understand I've got to get past you to collapse the defense. You might still take a three, but it's going to be one when the ball hit the paint and came out from the paint. And guys are on balance, teed up, ready to go, super high quality shot. That's not what these were. Most of them, 75% of them actually probably of those shots from that point in the game on were not of the kind I just described. So they didn't even try to probe a switch or a mismatch. There was 2 shots Tatum took where he literally came off and the defender that was supposed to switch was so late that he had an entire driving lane down the edge of the rim and he's 6'9". He probably could have extended and shot a shot at the rim or got in there and made a play. He didn't even, it wasn't even part of his DNA. It's like, no. I'm hunting the three. Like all I want is the three. And it got to the point, I know Missoula and the analytics guys on that team, they defend this ad nauseum because, this is what the numbers say. And guess what? We're a prolific 3-point shooting team in regular season. You're right. All those things are true. In this particular instance, the shot selection in the last 18 minutes of this game was abhorrent. And the fact that it was never addressed in a timeout to get some sort of weak side action, a dive, a cut, make the weak side look at something might lead to something. The few times they did it, they got some layups. Tatum got one. Drew Holiday got one. They got 4 free throws from Tatum and Brown. But then he went right back to the same stuff. So for me, look, man, you're going to shoot a lot of threes if you're Boston. I get it. You're going to shoot 40 to 50 probably every game in this series. 60, including 37 after halftime. 37 threes after halftime. Come on, man. It's lazy. It's lazy basketball. And that's it. I'm done with the Celtics. Let's get to the Knicks.
It's a little lazy, but it's also just a little cute where it's like, hey man, this is what I'm getting at. And this is where we can transition to the Knicks. It doesn't have to be cute. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just find any ugly, dumb, stupid, inefficient way to get a win. And that's just what the Knicks are. They have been this honestly for a while, but that's what they were last night.
They were, dude, listen, Brunson obviously did his thing again. Anunoby was fantastic. Bridges, huge corner three, but then his defense, some of the defensive plays he made in this game, including the one at the end of the game, to get that rips the ball right out of Jaylen Brown's arms. Like it's nothing, man. And just wanting it. It's funny. Brunson hit a 3 to cut it to 8. You're still down 8 with 6 minutes to go. And he's first time he blows the kisses to the crowd. Like he's on the road down 8. What do you think Jalen Brunson knew in that moment? We're good. We are good because we know we can guard them like this. And they got me. The Knicks have Jalen Brunson and they've got Anunoby, who was sensational. Towns didn't even do much offensively, had a big tip in, but he didn't really do a whole lot offensively. Josh Hart was, of course, all over the place like he normally is. This was about Brunson and Anunoby rising to the occasion. And I'm telling you, in my opinion, the reason the belief was there, Adam, was because of the way the Celtics were playing offensively.
Oh,
Now,
I think
look,
you're right.
if you make 5 or 6 of those, that's a 25-point win. Okay, so it could go either way, but the truth of the matter is the Knicks knew they had a shot if they went cold because that's all they're getting. There's no twos, there's no free throws, there's nothing easy. These are all deep shots. If they hit a cold stretch, we're still in the game because we're operating pretty well offensively. And that's exactly what happened, as opposed to the OKC Denver game where you're like, Denver's like, damn, we're going to go gobble up all these twos if you're going to play us this way because there's enough time. We got plenty of time. The Celtics played like they were losing. I just don't understand the mentality of being in such a rush, up 20, up 15, up 12, up 8, up whatever. Why are you in such a hurry? It just doesn't make any sense to me. They're going to see it on the film. There will be an adjustment, I believe. They'll still shoot 40 plus threes. They will get to the line more, and they will take guys off the dribble more to make plays and get the ball hopping around the perimeter from inside out when they're at their best. That's what it looks like. That was not their best. Give the Knicks all the credit in the world, man. That is a tough group. They've got a lot of belief, and they have a great, great player at the end of games that lets them know if we can just be in it with an arm's reach, we're going to win the game.
Well, real quickly, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, can guard. I mean, this is the thing they do. They can guard the perimeter, and they were phenomenal at the close of this one. Kristaps Porzingis didn't play in the second half with the illness. He's had such a weird little run here. And that's part of it because I think he helps put pressure on the middle there, not just rebounding, but he can post up, he can play the nail, he can do those different things. So when he goes out, it almost is like those two were better equipped now to even guard the perimeter because you have one less release valve if you're Boston. But those two guys, I just want to hear what you have to say about their defense because I thought they swallowed Boston's perimeter play up last night in the clutch.
They did, and I think Jalen Brown is not right because he just doesn't have the quick twitch to go by guys. And so when you look at Porzingis, whatever's going on with Porzingis, Jalen Brown not being 100%, I think the Knicks right now should smell that they can win this series. They need, and I think last night gave them the belief that they can, because I don't think the Celtics are, like right now. This is the best version of them, and I think the Knicks need to take advantage of it as much as they can early in the series. I don't know what went on with Porzingis. There hasn't been much of an update, so I don't know what's going to happen going forward. I don't think Jalen Brown's got a ton of lift. And their best 3 players in this game, Boston's, were 10 for 41 from the 3-point line. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
The Celtics are banged up, man. Porzingis obviously been in and out. Drew Holiday in and out. Now you have Brown, who definitely doesn't look 100%. Tatum with the wrist. This is a real thing. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm saying that this team does not have things breaking their way, and so now they're going to have a new thing to overcome.
I totally agree with you, man. Man, this is, look, it's not panic time for the Celtics, but just like OKC, probably just like Cleveland, those fans are walking out of there with their jaws open.
Yeah.
You're talking about clearly the 3 best teams in the NBA this year, all losing at home in game 1 of the second round.
Yeah.
So in different ways, completely different ways. But now, man, all of these teams believe that, hey, you know what? These guys are not like invincible, man. Like we're going to get them. The adjustment now falls on the part of the Cavs. It falls on the part of OKC. It falls on the part of the Boston Celtics, and that no one thought that would be the case. Everybody thought the adjustment for game 2 was going to have to come from one of those road teams. Like, what happened to them? Hey, Boston just hit 28 threes. What are you going to do? No, it's the opposite. Boston and OKC and the Cavaliers have to make the adjustments going forward now in game 2, or else they're in a hole they're not going to recover from if they don't win the next game. It's made the whole thing fascinating. And then the other series hasn't even gotten going yet with Golden State, Minnesota. So maybe Golden State can go into Minnesota and get the grand slam of road wins in game 1.
Real quickly, because we have to get out of here, unfortunately, but which team that's up 1-0 right now, Indiana, Denver, or the Knicks, has the best chance of winning their series in your opinion? All underdogs.
Indiana. I really, because I didn't see anything in that game that was like, oh, man, this was like for instance, I just talked about it for Boston for 10 minutes. What they did was so vile. It allowed the Knicks to have the opportunity. The way Oklahoma City managed the end of that game, they allowed the door to be open. I just thought Indiana outplayed them. Cleveland came to play, and they played. Indiana just outplayed them. So for me, that is something that would be more sustainable. OKC will be better in late game next time. Boston will be better in game 2 with their shot selection. I don't know that Cleveland's going to do things much different. And by the way, DeAndre Hunter's banged up. Mobley's banged
Mobley.
up.
Yeah.
And you're
right.
you're already missing Darius Garland.
Yep.
So for me, it would be the Pacers
Tough
of
breaks,
those three.
man. Yeah. All right. Well, we didn't even get to the preview portion of the show because we both have things we got to get to, but we do have a couple super chats. So let's hit these real quickly. Drew Chung says, Drew Chung, thank you so much. $1.99. And then what else? Mike, but no Ike. Adam, months ago, I asked how important AG was in the playoffs. Safe to say we would be buried. Legs, we want you in Denver, man. And is team chemistry scary? Team chemistry for the Nuggets, it's coming together. This is part of what made them champions in 2023. They were the most connected team. They're starting to percolate. What do you think?
No question, man. And you and I talked about it before the first game, leading into it, previewing it. We both agreed Aaron Gordon is the key to the whole thing. I love what Jokic said about him after the game, too. Called him the soul of the team.
Him. Yeah, he loves
him
so much.
It's obvious. And it's also obvious, I think, for me that he doesn't really feel the same way about Michael Porter Jr. I mean, that's just
here's the thing about Mike. He's 3 back surgeries, and now he has this shoulder thing. He clearly can't lift his left arm. You're 100% right. The only thing you said earlier was he was soft. The guy's playing through a pretty bad injury. I do think the Nuggets might be better without him if he can't play, if he's one-armed. We'll
I'm not really, and to clarify, I wasn't really saying it because of this injury and what he looks like. I'm just talking in general. Finesse. He's not a guy that's got this tough edge to him. That's what I meant. Yeah. His rebounding's come a long way, and he has had some big games shooting the ball for them during these championship, caliber years. But in general, no one's going to look at Michael Porter Jr. and think like tough, hard-nosed guy. That's what I meant. I wasn't really trying to, in any way, talk about the injury. He's playing with something terrible. But my point is, though, what do you do with him going forward? What do you do with him? You keep running him out there for empty minutes if he's got one arm?
David Adelman has been quick to play whoever has it going. So last night it was Russell Westbrook, and I don't think Adelman has any issue with saying this matchup calls for this guy, not this guy. So I don't really worry that they need Michael Porter because they only have 7 guys total with Peyton Watson. So it's not like he's not going to play, but I would expect Russ to close a lot of games and to play more minutes than Mike, if that's what he can give you. We got to get out of here, though. Hit that outro music. Great show, man. This was fun. And these early playoff games right now just feel so heavy because all the teams that are left feel like they can tilt momentum in their favor. Even tonight, we didn't even talk Warriors versus Wolves, but who has the edge there? Whoever gets a win tonight is going to have a big edge, and that's what makes this second round so fascinating from top to bottom. Hit that like button for us, guys. We'll be back later on in the week. We'll see you.
We all silly like the mayor.